sharpen your claws, and grab your coffee, because we're about to rip through the dreamscape of A Nightmare on Elm Street and dig up 20 of the weirdest, most disturbing facts lurking behind this horror masterpiece. This is a deep dive into real-life inspirations, on-set chaos, and the creepy coincidences that help create one of the most iconic villains in cinematic history. And trust me, by the end, you might not want to close your eyes tonight. Fact 1. Real-life deaths inspired the story. Wes Craven didn't just imagine Freddy out of thin air. The seed for Elm Street's nightmare was planted when he read news articles about a string of mysterious deaths among Southeast Asian refugees in the early 80s. Healthy young men, all from families that had escaped the horrors of war, began refusing to sleep. They'd stay awake for days, sometimes weeks, terrified of the dreams waiting for them. Then, inevitably, they'd fall asleep and never wake up. Witnesses described them screaming in the night before suddenly dying. Doctors called it Asian death syndrome, but no one could explain it. That unsettling blend of reality and mystery became the foundation of A Nightmare on Elm Street. Freddy's supernatural killings might have been fiction, but the idea that your dreams could kill you? That was ripped straight from the headlines. Fact 2. Freddy almost looked completely different. The Freddy you know, the burned face, the twisted grin, the sinister eyes, almost never existed. When the project first started, David Warner, a tall, gaunt English actor, was cast as Freddy. Makeup tests were done, giving him a more skeletal, almost ghostly look. But Warner's schedule clashed with filming, and the role had to be recast. Enter Robert Englund, who, with his lean build, physical theater training, and warped sense of humor, transformed Freddy into something far more animated and taunting than Craven originally envisioned. Rumor even has it that Kane Hodder, who would later become Jason Voorhees, auditioned for the role. Imagine the hulking, silent energy of Jason combined with Freddy's dream-stalking powers. It would have been an entirely different kind of terror. Fact 3. The blade glove came from a cat. One night, Wes Craven watched his pet cat slowly stretch out its claws in a lazy, predatory way, and something clicked. He wanted a weapon that felt primal, something that would trigger an instinctive human fear. Knives are scary, sure, but claws are built for hunting. He combined that animalistic menace with his fascination for late-night infomercial knife sets and sketched a work glove with 4 long blades attached to the fingers. The prop department used actual steak knife blades for close-ups and rubber versions for stunts. It wasn't just a murder weapon, it was a signature, a physical extension of Freddy's personality. And unlike a gun or a machete, the glove let Freddy get close, too close, before striking. Fact 4. Freddy's stance was born from discomfort. That slow, stalking posture Freddy has, the low-slung arm, the slight lean, wasn't part of the original plan. The metal blades on the glove were heavy and unbalanced, and when Robert Englund first wore it, he found it awkward to swing his arm normally, so he let it hang low and moved with the deliberate, almost reptilian slowness. The result was an unintentional creep factor that made Freddy look more like a predator studying his prey than a man walking into a room. It's a perfect example of how an accident on set can become an iconic part of a character. Fact 5. The boiler room was a real hazard. Those claustrophobic boiler room scenes weren't filmed on a safe Hollywood soundstage. They were shot in the real basement of the Lincoln Heights jail in Los Angeles. The place was already dripping with rust and grime, and the echoing clang of metal pipes gave it an oppressive atmosphere. But the real danger wasn't Freddy, it was asbestos. The building was later condemned, and while filming, the crew was breathing in who knows what between takes. Every hiss of steam in those scenes, completely authentic. Every shadow, not a lighting trick. The place itself was a nightmare. Fact 6. The rotating bedroom set trick. In one of the film's most surreal moments, gravity appears to betray the laws of physics. Nancy thrashes in her bedroom as the world turns upside down around her. To pull this off, the production built an entire bedroom on a giant rotating frame, bolting the camera to the wall so the perspective stayed fixed while the set spun. Crew members had to strap themselves in as they worked to keep from falling during takes. It was a dangerous, disorienting stunt, and it gave the scene a dream logic no visual effect of the time could match. Fact 7. The bottomless bathtub. The bathtub scene where Freddy's glove rises between Nancy's knees is one of the most unsettling in the film. To shoot it, they built a false bathtub over the deep end of a swimming pool. Heather Langenkamp sat in the tub while a stuntman in scuba gear lurked just below the surface, ready to thrust the glove upward on cue. It was cold, uncomfortable, and physically exhausting. Heather had to lie perfectly still for hours, holding the same half-asleep expression while knowing there was a man in full prosthetics right beneath her. That tension bleeds through in the final cut. Fact 8. The blood flood. The geyser of blood that erupts from Glenn's bed is one of the most famous kills in horror history, and it was a logistical nightmare. Using the same rotating set built for the bedroom scene, the crew pumped over 500 gallons of dyed water through the mattress. But once the liquid hit the ceiling, it splashed in unpredictable directions, soaking crew members, shorting out electrical equipment, and even knocking the camera operator off balance. It was chaos, but the result was so visually shocking that it became one of the defining images of the entire franchise. Fact 9. Less is more with Freddy. Freddy Krueger looms large in the cultural imagination, but in the original film, he's barely there. Less than 7 minutes of total screen time. Craven understood that overexposure kills fear. By keeping Freddy's appearances brief and unpredictable, he became more like a lurking shadow in the audience's mind. The anticipation of seeing him, wondering when he'd show up, was just as terrifying as the moments when he finally appeared. Fact 10. Johnny Depp's breakthrough by chance. Johnny Depp's role as Glenn was pure happenstance. Charlie Sheen was the first choice, but his salary demands were too high. Wes Craven showed a lineup of headshots to his daughter and her friend, and both immediately picked Depp, saying he looked dreamy. It was his first film role, and though Glenn's death was gruesome, Depp came out of the experience with instant Hollywood attention. It's safe to say Freddy didn't just kill Glenn, he launched Johnny Depp's career. Fact 11. The fedora. Almost didn't make the cut. Freddy's ragged fedora feels inseparable from his look, but it almost didn't make it to the screen. In early production meetings, some studio execs argued that the hat made him resemble Indiana Jones, too adventurous and even a little comical. Robert Englund fought to keep it, pointing out how the brim cast deep shadows across Freddy's burned face, letting him hide and reveal his features at will. It was a masterstroke. On a darkened set, all you needed to see was the outline of that hat, and you instantly knew who was coming for you. Without it, Freddy might never have reached his full nightmare potential. Fact 12. Freddy's voice was born in the mirror. Robert Englund didn't simply put on the makeup and improvise, he developed Freddy's voice through careful experimentation. Alone in front of a mirror during makeup tests, he tried different tones, deep growls, whispered threats, even playful sing-song patterns. The breakthrough came when he combined a raspy, smoke-damaged pitch with an elongated delivery, letting each word drip like venom. Watching himself speak in full Freddy makeup locked it in. This wasn't just a man in a mask, it was a predator that enjoyed every syllable. Fact 13. Real fear made the final cut. Not all of the actor's reactions were scripted. During one tense moment, Englund decided to rake his metal blades unexpectedly across a piece of set metal, producing a piercing screech. Heather Langenkamp had no idea it was coming, and her startled jump was completely real. Wes Craven loved the authenticity and kept the shot. It's a small moment, but it's proof that sometimes the best scares happen when no one's expecting them, even on a horror set. Fact 14. Freddy crashed a restaurant. There's nothing quite like seeing Freddy Krueger ordering pad thai. One afternoon, Robert Englund left the set still in full Freddy makeup and joined Johnny Depp for lunch at a local Thai restaurant. When the waiter approached their table, he caught sight of Englund's burned face and twisted grin, froze, and dropped his tray before bolting to the back. Englund said later that it was the first time he realized how deeply unsettling Freddy's appearance could be when encountered in real life, outside the safety of the big screen. Fact 15. The ending was forced by the studio. Wes Craven wanted the movie to close on a note of triumph, with Nancy stripping Freddy of his power by refusing to acknowledge him, an ending that symbolized overcoming fear. But New Line Cinema had bigger plans. They demanded a twist ending that left room for sequels. The compromise was that bizarre dream within a dream finale, with Freddy's hand smashing through the car window to grab Nancy's mother. Craven wasn't a fan, but the scene became one of horror's most memorable closing shocks, and of course, it paved the way for a franchise. Fact 16. Horror directors left Easter eggs for each other. If you look closely during one of Nancy's scenes, you'll spot her watching The Evil Dead on TV. That wasn't random. It was Wes Craven's nod to director Sam Raimi, who had slipped a The Hills Have Eyes poster into the background of The Evil Dead. Raimi later returned the favor in Evil Dead 2 by hiding Freddy's glove in his film. It became a kind of horror in-joke, a subtle way for two genre legends to tip their hats to each other while their fans hunted for the hidden details. Fact 17. The missing centipede scare. Tina's grisly death scene was set to include a massive, grotesque clay centipede crawling on her. At one point, the prop simply vanished. The crew panicked. No one wanted to accidentally open a storage box and find a giant fake insect staring back at them. Hours later, it was found shoved into the wrong container. While it might have been just a harmless mix-up, it became one more unsettling story from a set already steeped in creepy atmosphere. Fact 18. Nancy's house is a real location. The white two-story home with its red door, Nancy's iconic house, exists in real life, but not on Elm Street. The actual address is 1428 North Genesee Avenue in Los Angeles. Over the years, it's been repainted and renovated, but horror fans still visit to snap photos and stand on the same front steps where Nancy once faced her nightmares. It's joined the ranks of other legendary horror homes, becoming a pilgrimage spot for those brave enough to get close. Fact 19. Freddy saved New Line Cinema. Before A Nightmare on Elm Street, New Line Cinema was teetering on the edge financially. The film's massive success didn't just turn a profit, it transformed the studio into a major player in Hollywood. Industry insiders began calling it the house that Freddy built, and with the money the franchise brought in, New Line went on to produce massive hits like The Lord of the Rings. Without Freddy, the company might have closed its doors long before the world ever saw Middle-earth on the big screen. Fact 20. The urban legend of Freddy's victims. After the film's release, a chilling rumor spread through schools. Some claimed the movie was so terrifying that kids refused to sleep for days, and a few whispered about deaths caused by exhaustion or fear. While there's no proof any of these tragedies ever occurred, the fact that the legend took root at all says everything about the film's cultural impact. Freddy wasn't just a character on screen, he was a shared fear that seeped into the real world, making people second-guess the safety of their own dreams. And there you have it, 20 strange, unsettling, and unforgettable truths from A Nightmare on Elm Street. From real-world deaths to on-set accidents that turned into horror gold, this film's legacy isn't just in the kills, it's in the details. Whether you first saw it on the big screen or through a grainy VHS tape at a sleepover, Freddy Krueger has been haunting dreams for 4 decades, and he's not finished yet. If you made it through this without checking behind you, hit like, subscribe for more dives into horror history, and remember, whatever you do, don't fall asleep.